All right. So on the recording here, I was going to show you the EC Council stuff. I'll just do a brief recap. This is where you'll go and actually purchase your access to the book materials, the lab, the exam voucher, and the exam prep. Please read through these two materials in order to get access to everything you'll need. And then for redeeming the lab key, there's some really good videos on getting you into the system. That will take you into this system here, which is the Learn on Demand. This is where you'll do your labs. You'll typically come into a screen that looks like this, and you can see each of the labs that you guys will be completing. Once you get through that, you can click on one and it'll go ahead and launch it, which is what I've done here. It takes about 2 minutes or so for the lab environment to get set up and built, but we'll walk through the first lab, at least to get started here. You guys can do those multiple times. That's not a problem. And really spend the time doing them. They do, if it's anything like the last ones, the expected duration on this one is pretty accurate. So 45 minutes, 30 minutes, 25 minutes. When you get into the bigger ones, they can take up to an hour and a half, hour. So they could take a little bit longer getting through the big ones. Note that there's not one for every single module. And like I mentioned here just before the recording, the ones for module 1 and 2, those I will post in their sections or have you do those, but you will, there's no due date for that. In other words, we already passed through module 1, so I'm not worried about it being due this Sunday. While this is loading up, do you guys on this call, do you guys have any other questions?
No, not at this point.
Okay. Aaron, did you have anything?
No, I'm good, sir.
Okay. There we go. Please tell me I did not just close that. Okay, there we go. All right. This is what the lab platform is. So if you guys are used to our what do you call it? Our NetLab system here, it's going to look somewhat similar as you go through there. The buttons across the top, this is where you can bounce between the virtual machines up here. You could also full screen it if you wanted to. Your power and display options for power on, reconnect, etc., and then keyboard options. Over here on the right, it's going to show you how to get through these resources. So you're going to see a very similar type setup where you have a scenario, objectives, and then your actual tasks, and it'll walk you through it. So if you check mark these off, then you'll know that you actually got through it as you went. So like here, it's wanting you to hit Control Delete. Therefore, we can come up here and send the Control Delete. You can also click directly in these, which is great because it'll plug it in for you over here. So you can hit that and hit OK, and it should send it through there.
You need to be on the Windows 11 machine. I think you're on 10.
You are correct. I'm actually on the server one. Directions are a good thing, right?
I had an actual question.
Yep.
Is there a time limit to these? Because I know that for the NetLab ones that we have to like book them and then extend reservations if we need them. Is this just constantly open?
That's a good question. So it says 44 minutes remaining. I think they give you longer than what the original estimate was, right? Because 45 is what it expects. You're usually done long within that. I honestly don't have a good answer for that because they just changed to the new lab platform. So when I was demoing these labs and going through them, it was actually set up for the CyberQ platform, and they just swapped over to this one. Let me know if that runs into an issue because then I can raise that with them. But I don't foresee that being one.
Okay, I'll probably figure it out later in the semester.
Yeah,
some of the long ones.
Let's see here. Remind me of 3 days. Okay. And you may see things like that. There's a pop-up here, etc. Just hit remind me in 3 days and it'll kind of go through there. What they're wanting to take you through is the Windows security stuff. So security, you can pop that up. Again, what's nice about this one is it will allow you to click on these things if they want you to type something specific, and it will auto inject it into the system. But it's going to walk you through the labs here. Once you get through with that one, that'll be the first exercise, and then you'll go on to the next one. And in this case, there's 3 exercises. So you should have no problem getting through that in 45 minutes. When you're ready to submit it, you can just hit yes for submit for grading, and then that will actually send me a grade as you go through there. In those individual exercises, because I skipped over them, I ended up with a 0 out of 0 there, right? But in those, they will typically ask questions while you do that. And so you'll answer those questions during that lab, and that's actually the score that'll get kicked back. As it says here, you can do it multiple times, so I don't care how many times you do it, that's fine. And they're all self-paced. So don't worry about the capstone one. That one we'll do at the very end. It doesn't have a way for me to specifically tell you to only do certain labs yet. Working on some fixes there. Won't be a ton of labs. If we go back and look over the syllabus, I say not a ton of labs because most of the labs are going to hit when we do the net lab system. So you only had X amount of labs to get through module 8, as you see in here. So if we go look, you know, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 total labs that you're going to go through, and then the capstone itself. In the syllabus, you'll do that capstone one during week 9 here. So there's only about 6 or 7 labs, but then when we hit the CYSA labs, you'll end up doing 21 of those total. And those have varying, you know, again, some of those are going to take 15, 20 minutes, and other ones might take you an hour. Most of these are designed to stay within less than an hour, that 50-minute mark, like what you were talking about, Peyton. All right. That's all I had here today, because on Thursday I'll cover the PowerPoint itself for module 2. So in module 1, again, you guys will just go in there, and I'm gonna say in the overview, which I'll get an overview in here. Why did that show up like that? That should have been week 2. There we go. I'll put one in here to complete the lab, and that way you guys will know on those weeks that you need to complete the lab. And I'll put the link out here to the lab platform, which is this here, so that you guys know to log in and go there. And once you log in, you'll be set up in a class in this course, and you can complete those labs like this.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. I'm going to stop the recording there.